We face division in every part of our lives, within ourselves, within our relationships, and in our work. But it doesn't have to be that way. To live fully, we must integrate all that God has made us to be with the work He has given us to do. This is My Boulevard's Integrate podcast, helping churches, nonprofits, and everyday Christians identify the divisions holding them back and giving them tools to make lasting change.
Welcome to My Boulevard's Integrate podcast, where we talk about 7 core components of integrated disciple making. I am here with my lovely wife, Angie.
Hi.
My brother, Amisho.
Hello, hello.
And my brother in the Lord, James Hopson.
What's up? I'm here.
We got a special guest.
That's right.
Yes. Amisho, what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about the seasons of discipleship.
So I'm really excited about this topic for a few different reasons. First of all, when we talk about seasons of life or even age or, what you can give back, Amisho is my blood brother. And every time where we go around and we talk about just like, just different things or whatever. People, they know us both. And then I'm always asked the question. And that question is, who's the older?
That's right.
Is Sho the older brother? And I'm like, yeah, she's the older brother. And I go on.
He did. He told everybody at our city group last week that you were older.
Yeah.
He's preached it. He said it in the sermon a couple weeks ago. He's mentioned it on his podcast a number of times.
Yeah, but it makes me feel really good because I'm actually.
It makes you feel good to lie?
No. But what makes me feel good is that when people see us, they assume that he's an older brother. And because he's an older brother, it's just like it's great. I mean, I'm actually 3 years older than him, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just answer that for everybody. Yes. I'm 3 years older, but I look 3 years younger than him, and I think that's what the.
You got a nice little smooth face. You got a nice little smooth face.
Yeah, I cannot grow facial hair. There's no secret about that. I cannot grow facial hair, so I'm really excited about that. But the other thing is that, like, one of my mentors, Dr. Crawford Ritz, he used to always say, he was just like, man, you got to understand, like, the different seasons of life. He says, 0 to 20, you don't know nothing, right? You just try to figure everything out. But from 20 to 40, it's sort of like, it's the time where you're just putting everything on from 20 to 40. Yeah. You're doing everything, do as much stuff as you can, try as many different types of things that you like to try. But then he says from 40 to 60, he says this is kind of your editing phase, right? And, in your 40s, you begin to editing, and you're editing your life. He's like, okay, there's certain things I like and things that I don't like. But then he says when you get to kind of like those 50s or 60 and beyond, it's like this is when you're basically pouring back, right? Yeah. And just like you found that niche, you found that thing that you're pouring back in the season of life. And I was just like, man, this is so good. So we was just like, what would it be like for us to talk about that? Talk about seasons of life. What do we have to offer? What do we have to give? And all that. And since Sho is the oldest, why don't you just kick us off with that?
It's so ridiculous. It's funny. Crawford Ritz, I heard him speak. He spoke at my daughter's convocation, graduation. And he also made a statement that I think is somewhat related, but I loved. He said, you're born looking like your parents, but you die looking like your decisions. And I was like, ooh.
That's a bar.
I was like,
that's a bar.
That's gonna find its way in a rap song. So.
Yeah.
But I do think over the time of maturation, what happens is to your point, like you kind of pick, throughout your identity formation, things that you are grabbing from parents, friends, et cetera, et cetera. And most of the time, I don't think you get comfortable until you're around your late 30s and 40s, which, you know what? I think I've done enough investigating. Mm-hmm. I've done enough kind of picking, and I'm going to start getting to that, I guess that editing portion of my life.
You've also been smacked in the face a few times.
Yeah, exactly. And like the things that you held strongly to were probably foolish. You know what I mean? Things you were like, no, this is absolutely. You're smart enough to know that you don't know it all. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Right.
Mm-hmm. But
I'm
you're still
repenting of the things I was teaching like 20 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry. I need to go back and make a list of anybody who was some of the things that I was saying when I was 20 years ago. I'm like, I'm sorry.
And you can start with me. You can start with me. Put that out there. You can start with me. But the reality of it is that you're confident enough to know the things you can hold on to, while at the same time knowing like I have a humble posture, and so since I've hit my 40s, one of the things I've realized is that I am at a place where, and I mentioned this earlier, where I'm comfortable, like, and it just hit me one day, where I know, like, I have something to offer young men, especially. It's like, because there would be a time when I used to be humble, like, oh no, man, we can, I would have this timidity about me, like saying, hey, I want to disciple you, I want to mentor you, I want you to come under me. I didn't have a confidence to say, like, no, you can learn something from me. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. While at the same time, looking to old men and still saying, like, I can learn something from them. Like, because I think sometimes in your 30s and 20s, you're still trying to be, I guess you call them not the peripheral, but parallel with people. And there's this lack of confidence of saying, like, I can definitely, I mean, some people have it in them, but mentor and disciple people. But now I'm at a place where it's like, no, I am definitely at a space where I need to be pouring into young people and also being, poured into.
But there's so many people, so many of us who still feel that imposter syndrome. Yeah. Right? It's kind of what I'm hearing, but also we feel, because I know there's many times in the Angie and I, we talk about it all the time. It was just kind of like when things happening, it's like, where are the adults?
Oh, yeah. I think that daily, y'all. I'm like, oh, this is a problem. Who are we going to call? Oh, crap. It's me. It's me. It's me that has to solve this problem. Yeah.
So my hot take is, being decisive. I think 40 is the prime. When I think about it, I guess I'm thinking about ministry and preaching because I'm pastoring. I feel like 40 is prime. Is the prime age range, because I'm looking at. So I was probably 26 when I started the church, and I can't tell you how many mistakes I made. But I'm thinking, like, there's a space where, because I said this before we got started, that I feel like 40 is prime. I love 50s, love 60s, love everybody. But the principle, what I'm saying is, I feel like 40s is prime because there's a youth, and I didn't get to, Angie's take, so I'm curious what she would say about what you feel like is a prime age for effectiveness in ministry. So I'm thinking, like, we did so many outreaches, we did so many things, but in the youthful space, it was like we could move faster, we could, be crazier with ideas. But the thing is like we lacked a lot of wisdom, right? So we did some things like, we trying to be cool and epic and offend a whole group of people being, for the name of that. And so there's wisdom on the other side of it. But I feel like a space where it's like, I feel active enough to still be, bold, but I'm wise enough to not do something that's going to equally
wise
get me
enough
canceled.
To delegate too.
And
like, hey, y'all young folks, I'm not about to spend, like, I'm not going to be hanging out till 12 o'clock at night with you.
Right.
But here's a little wise Johnny. You go ahead and, make sure don't nothing crazy happen.
right. So, I mean, I'm curious with y'all. Do y'all agree with that or disagree? You say, like, 40 is like a prime.
So when you say, like, prime, are we talking about, like, in the NBA, like, you hit that, like, 28 to 32, kind of like this is when this is like that, like, you're at the peak, and then it's kind of like downhill kind of prime? Or what, like, what, like,
That's good.
What kind of prime you talking about?
It's hard to answer, too, because none of us are 50, and none of us are 60. Yeah. So we haven't experienced what we don't know, or we don't know what we haven't experienced.
But I think you can answer based on how you treat people who are 50 and 60.
Oh,
that's how I'm
praying for the 50s and 60s. I'm like, where
but
are you
I
guys?
Also know, so I'm praying for the 50s and 60s, but I also know that when I am in my 20s and 30s, I'm like, I sit with the 50s and 60s, but I ain't trying to really
that's
hang
true.
with the 50s.
And that's like raising teenagers. Yeah. Like, I have so much wisdom to impart. I could literally change your life right now. And they're like, mom, whatever.
Right.
So they when you're younger, you don't.
They're more prone to spend time with you in your 40s, and not only that, you have more energy too. Mm-hmm. But I think as people take care of their body, and they,
because I was just going to think, there's so many people now, like their 50s is like that feel like their 40s. It feels like, because I just remember when I was like, in high school and middle school and all that, I was just like, man. 50s, like the teachers, it seemed like they were wiser. It seems like we've been on a slow decline, from since then. And I think it's just like as I get age, it's like you teaching my kids,
right?
Just like you just But
you realize they were young though.
They were young.
Yeah, they were young. You just assumed they were old.
And so wise, and so smart, and all that. But you just so it is. But it's that thing, because so many people feel like I don't have anything to give. I'm just in my 20s. I'm just in my 30s. I'm just in my 50s. our 40s or whatever, and it's just like we always think about our age. When I'm in my 50s, I'm too old now.
I'm irrelevant to,
When
yeah.
I'm in my 30s, I'm too young to like have it. And I think that we are always in that thing where we're constantly in doubt.
Yeah.
Right? We're constantly in doubt that we don't have anything to give. And I just think that it's a lie of the enemy, right?
Absolutely.
Especially as, you know, guys are like, man, we are all fearfully and wonderfully made, and we all have our shortcomings, and we all have more life that we need to live, and we all have, you know, more things that we can learn, and you know, our different things. Like we don't have to like stop learning. I think sometimes like the 50s and 60s, like I'm done learning. I'm not learning anything new, right? At a certain age, and I'm just kind of riding in to the sunset with whatever knowledge I got. Like it's so like my rap career. Like after the 90s, like I was done. Like Biggie, once Biggie died, I was done. I was like, I'm not following anybody else. Like I can't keep changing with the rap. And I was just like, I feel like so many of us in terms of like information, knowledge, the next generation, we kind of choose it.
But maybe it's what that's music and like culture. No, not necessarily culture, but that's music. So maybe there's other things that you've started to learn about. Like,
well,
that's
saying,
good,
like,
Angie. No,
think about like TikTok or social media or like so many different things. It's like, oh man,
we all fatigue at some point. Yeah. Like there's certain things you fatigue at. Like for me, I think I'm starting to fatigue in the rap career as well. Like as a hip hop artist, that sounds strange, but I don't have the energy to keep renewing like my interest in new artists. It's like at some point, like I'm like, all right, you know what? I think I've capped now. And I was listening to a gentleman speak about social media. He's like, there are generations who peak at a particular platform. Our generation is probably going to peak at Instagram. We're done. Like, you know, we're not going into TikTok phase. You know, then there's another generation, they'll peak at the TikTok.
Oh, but like TikTok is like old news. Like there's like stuff that my kids be bringing up. I'm like, what? Right. I didn't even know that this new platform existed. But I was like, well, that's how we communicate. And I was just like,
right. And so I think we all fatigue. But I do think, in general, there is just, and maybe it doesn't have anything to do with age per se, and that's the illusion. But there is something to, there are people who just mature, and at a particular place of maturity, they recognize like I'm no longer here to like I found a purpose in a sense. I found my purpose, although that you know there may be pivots here and there, but ultimately I've found the calling in which God has directed me, and I'm moving in that direction. And it's funny because I do think culturally within generations that has that you know during the Industrial Revolution. It was probably earlier, and it gets later and later as we grow older. But think about it like this: like the Civil Rights Movement, they were in their 20s.
Yeah,
like those men and women were in their 20s and 30s. Like crazy. It was when King started. He was like 26, 27 when he started on the scene. Died at 39.
Right.
Like when we think about King, we think of him as a 50-year-old man.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite people, Toni Morrison, wrote her first, and this gives me encouragement, like even for people who peak late. Toni Morrison didn't write her first novel until 39. You know what I'm saying? But then you go on the other end, Booker T. Washington started, he started his kind of educational career at 18, 20 something. So it's like age, it varies. It just depends on when you find your particular.
Have you ever heard of people talk about age as a level? Have you ever heard that?
No, I have not.
So it was something I saw on Instagram, but it was like, I'm going to stop referring to my age as a number, and it's going to be a level so that I can tell my kids, like, I'm always at a higher level than you. But I also thought that's a good analogy because, when you play video games, you'll play that same level over and over and over, and you have to master it. And there's things that we get stuck on. Like, I can't beat that big gorilla, like whatever. I'm thinking about Mario.
That just showed your age.
Yeah, it did.
Or your level.
The choice of your video game.
Yeah, right. Mario.
The
yeah.
Analogy was.
That's it.
Show your age.
But if you think about it like that, it's like there's just some of us have to like endure this level and get through it, keep fighting, and then we level up.
That's good.
And whenever age that is, I love the idea of the leveling because I'm like, I'm on level 44. You're on level 12. So like, stop talking to me.
But it's, until somebody calls you a level that you're not actually on. So
You're like
it's
52.
all good. So, I'm jogging down the street. I try to keep my body decent enough to just fool people that I actually look good.
You don't have high blood pressure and stuff. Yeah.
So I'm running, and on my way back, it's very hot outside. So I stop at a gas station to get like a Gatorade or something. And so I'm in line. I get my food, and the guy's walking out. He looks like he's around the same age as me, and which I'm 44. And so he's like, man, I'm so glad you out here running, big dog. I'm so proud of you, man. He's like, how old are you? 52?
He gave you 8 years.
He gave it. Yes.
One of those things you don't actually
Yeah.
want to be higher
No, you
in a
don't.
level than you actually
I want to
are.
be the level I'm
He
at.
felt the aura of your wisdom and yeah.
He was like, oh man, I'm so proud, man, brother, you out here doing it, king. How old are you? 52? And I said, wait, hold up, what? He said, oh, you not 52?
You got umped.
Yeah.
What a
Like,
unk.
extra-
Whoa,
extra.
hold up.
Unked by a brother who's a unk. That's even worse. So that hurt me. That hurt me. Another crazy story. Dottie was gonna love this one. So Dottie and I are hanging out in Savannah. Just kick. This is kind of height of COVID.
Yeah.
So we were wearing masks everywhere you go. So we go to the I forgot the name of the church, but it's the first African American church in the country in Savannah. And we're walking around, and there's a bunch of tourist people just outside, and this woman walks, and Heidi and I'm like, take a picture. Can you take a picture of us, please? And so the woman takes a picture, and she's, oh man, this is so beautiful, y'all out together. And she looks at me, hands me my phone. She says, is this your son?
Oh no!
Looking at the hottie,
I'm telling you.
asking me if the hottie is my son.
No, how did you feel?
Everything in me was demoralized. I was like, I don't know. I didn't even know how to address this situation.
Right.
I was like, okay, like, I've been called the older brother
You don't
before.
look like a father to a grown man.
This man has 2 inches on me. He's tall, 2 inches taller than me. He's a bigger body. I'm like,
This your son right here.
how is he? Like, what?
Right.
When?
Oh, wow.
I was like,
I mean, Dahadi's gotten accused of hugging up with some girl before, and it was our daughter. And we're like, oh, wait. That was Jade, y'all.
I got that young look. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing like James Roberson when he first came to Blueprint.
Yeah.
Like he was there for like the first year or first couple of months, and then someone went up to him and says, I'm so glad that we finally got some older people within the congregation. And James was just like, wait. I'm younger than I'm younger than all these the people. He was just, I'm so glad. So I just got that youthful, that younger. Like I get that younger vibe. So I'm good. And so
hilarious.
This is good. But here's the thing. Here's the point. I know we've talked about a lot of stuff on you. Here's the point. No matter what level you are on, you have something to give.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You have something to give, and we just want to encourage you that you have something to give, and you can give back to your community. You can give back to your neighborhood. You can give back to it, and that's what we're about with My Boulevard. We are trying to help people.
Absolutely.
To both, wherever level that they're on, we are helping them to just simply take responsibility where they live, where they work, and where they worship, with the goal of saying, this is my boulevard. My hope and my prayer is that people all across the country say, this is my boulevard. Whether you're in your job, whether you're on your block, whether you're basically in the White House, that you would say, this is my boulevard.
Responsibility.
So no matter what level you are in, you can take a responsibility where you live, work, and worship. And so look forward to journeying. If you haven't heard, if you haven't signed up, make sure that you sign up for 2 things. One, for the city syllabus, that you can go to myblvd.co and you can sign up for the city syllabus so you can get some of the, we can help you to thrive where you live, work, and worship. It's an online platform. And then also sign up for the My Boulevard Conference. It's the Integrate Conference. It's October 19th to the 21st. So make sure you sign up for there. All right. I think that's it. We are on level. We are leveling up. Appreciate you guys. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to My Boulevard's Integrate podcast. Be sure to visit us online at myboulevard.co, that's myboulevard.co, or follow us on social media to stay updated on all things My Boulevard.